Just want to say a big thanks to everybody that left kind comments on my recent video where I was going through a bit of pain with this dental extraction. I'm glad to say pain is virtually all gone now. So that's 3 weeks and I'm virtually out of pain, no painkillers, nothing. The healing process is well underway and things are almost back to normal, I'm glad to say. So yeah, thanks very much to everybody that left a kind comment there. You can see I got a new pair of glasses, so I'm seeing a lot better. These are varifocal occupational lenses, so the lenses sort of go from up here, the sort of top half is for mid distance, so I can use that for computer work, and then the bottom half is for reading or for close-up work, for grinding, etc. So I'm seeing a lot better. Also a swelling in my eye, the eyelid, it's caused by a gold weight which was implanted many years ago because I had neurosurgery to remove a tumour. You know, a lot of you know about that already, but it paralysed my face. A lot of you don't know what happened, and the gold weight was there to try and preserve the eye because the eye wasn't closing properly. So the gold weight was put in to make the eyelid shut under the influence of gravity when I was resting at night. But unfortunately, with exposure to dust and muck and that in the workshop, you know, you get an itch and your hands are dirty, and next thing you know is inadvertently I tend to rub my eye, and this just causes a reaction which isn't very good, and the gold weight and the tissue in the vicinity of that area all swells up, basically closing the eye. But I've been very conscious of not trying to touch my eye or my eyelid or rub it or anything like that, especially when I got dirty hands, and I've been taking a lot more care, cleaning my eye and etc., and that appears to be somewhat improved as well. So it's a good situation that I find myself in, or an improving situation. I do have an appointment next month with the ophthalmology or eye department to see if we can possibly have this gold weight removed, because I have got a blink reflex back. I have got some movement in my face back now. My face was paralysed, it's not as paralysed now as it was, so it may be an option that they can restore my eye perhaps a bit more to what it was, and that would be fantastic if it is, if that can be the case. Anyway, the situation is an improving one, so once again thanks everybody for your support there. Anyway, today I've got a heat treat going on. I've got 5 classics. I've got a 6th one I've got to work on yet. This one's got a slight bend which needs to be corrected before I heat treat. I've corrected these already, and these are at the pre-heat treat stage now. So the next process for these is to go through what's called strain relieving, because what's happened, when you work tool steel, it comes to me in sort of lengths. I'll show you. The tool steel comes to me in lengths. I get it in about 500 mil lengths like that. Let's open it up and show you. So that's how the tool steel starts. This is a 500 mil length. This is a 3 mil piece, 3 mil by 30 mil, and it's properly annealed by the suppliers. I get my 01 from a company in the UK called Ground Flatstock. I find them a fantastic company. So that's how it comes. It's properly annealed, and it's nice and soft, and it's easy to machine and to grind and to stamp, etc. But by the time you've shaped it and you've ground it, you've shaped it, you've drilled your holes, you've stamped your logo, all that has imparted stresses and strains in the steel. And so what tends to happen when you quench all that stress and strain, because especially when you pressed in a logo, you've moved steel, and you put strain into the steel, and that when you quench the knife, that all those stresses and strains, they come out as a warp. And so if you run this pre-heat treat cycle of strain relief, basically all it means is putting your blanks, once they're done to this stage, putting them into the kiln or into a furnace. I tend to put mine in it and ramp the kiln up to 700 centigrade, hold it for a quarter of an hour, and then pull them out and let them cool down naturally in the air. And you don't get any decarburization, so you haven't got to, at this stage, you haven't got to coat the blades with any anti-scale compound or anything, because the heat's not quite up to critical and it's not long enough for the decarburization to be a problem. Also at this stage, the blades, the blanks themselves are they're not finished off. The steel is as it's come, supplied from the manufacturer. So if there are any small decarb issues or anything, or any scratches or whatever in the steel, after the heat treat, you just grind it all back and you clean it all up, and it comes out absolutely perfect. I'm really happy. So that's just a little pre-heat treat cycle that I go through. As I say, this one's got to be worked on, because there's a slight warp in it, and I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, so this is my glass flat plate. You've seen it all. Those of you that have been on the channel for a while have seen this all before. It's just over almost half inch thick piece of plate glass, and you can see there's a noticeable. If you look along it, you won't see that, or you might just get an idea that there's a bend in it, but the glass plate reveals quite clearly that there's a bend. So that side's absolutely feels flat because the blade's arching like that, but that side it's arching like that, so you can see it. So I've got a warp, and most of that warp is around about where the actual logo is, because that's where a 10-ton press was pushed into it. So it's pushed the steel, and it's moved the steel, and it's caused the blade to bend a little bit. So I've got just to remove that by counter bending it. It's very easy to do at this stage because it is softened steel, and often I can just bend it over the side of the corner of the bench. Often put it on the bench and just bend it like that, and that'll often be enough to take it out. But because this is a video and I've got to make it look professional, I'll show you another way of doing it. Another way, which is a bit more professional, if you like, is to use an arbor press, which is what I've got here. This is a half-ton arbor press, and then I can adjust. I've got two rollers. Well, I had two of these, but I lost one, so a drill bit will suffice for now, and I can move that to the area where the warp is, and then apply a little bit of counter bend over all the area where I think the apex of the warp is, and then go back and test it on the flat plate. So there, that's a little bit better. There's still a warp in there, tiny amount. But to be honest with you, I'll show you how I do it over the bench. In fact, this is just as good as the arbor press, really. I've got the flat plate there, and I can just bend it. I know roughly where we're looking for. So I can move it across the area where I think the bend is, a bit of body pressure. It's just a small amount. That's virtually gone now. virtually gone. That is it, that is flat. It's not moving, very, very little. I'm pretty happy with that. If you were to look at it, I don't know how this is going to come out. Let's get the camera to focus. You can see visually it looks flat, and it is pretty flat. It'd be, you know, within a tiny fraction, so I'm quite happy with that one there. Well, here we are at the kiln. In the blades go into their individual compartments rather, in the rack. On this kiln, this is the Even Heat KO 18. It's got a ramp master controller, and I've pre-programmed the buttons. So I've just got to recall number 1, enter, 2 stages to start it, and that runs it. So the kiln will now run that program, and that program is simply my strain relieving program, which will run the kiln up to 700 centigrade, hold it for a quarter of an hour, then it will set off an alarm, and I can come in, turn the kiln off, take the blades out and put them on the rack at the top here to let them cool and still there. And that's a simple process really, which helps eliminate warpage. So that's one of the processes that I run through to help eliminate or minimise the chance of warping. And the second thing I do is after I've quenched and hardened the blades, when I temper them I tend to clamp them all together. If I've got any warps in the blades I'll check them for straightness again. If I've got any warps I'll put counterbend to counterbend and clamp them together, and they generally come out straight after a couple of temper cycles. And then it's on with the rest of the build of the knife, grinding the bevels, tapering the tangs, etc. So yeah, a lot of work to do, but it's all good fun. With the ramp master controller I've got the option to view the program that I'm running, so I'll just press the view button and it'll tell you. So I'm on there. Now let's have a look at this again. Right then, here we go. Program 1, segments 1, ramp full power to 700 centigrade, hold for 15 minutes, and that's it, and then an alarm at 700. So that is the program we're running at the moment. Well, they've had almost 15 minutes now soaking at 700 or 701, just gone complete. That's the alarm you can hear bleeping. So I'll show you what 700 degrees looks like. Obviously they've got to be pulled out very carefully because you can see they're glowing and carefully placed to cool off. And that's giving them a chance to sort of relieve all their strains. Hopefully means that there'll be less warps in the quench. So that's them now left to cool down. It takes a good few minutes for them to cool down, and I'll prepare them for anti-scale compound and the quench, heat treat and tempering. But if you want to see the rest of the process, heat treating, tempering, correcting the warps after the quench, etc., then I'll put a link up in the top right hand corner of this video for that. So hope it's been a help to somebody. As I say, I'm well on the mend now. It's all looking like things are on going to improve. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll get the old eye sorted out in another month or two, and then there'll be no stopping me. So till the next video, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye for now.